Good Thursday morning, everybody. My name is Matthew Gonzalez, and welcome to another edition of IPJ The Podcast. Today is November 12th, 2020, and my, how the year has flown by. Some would say thankfully, others would like a redo. Anyways, let's get into what we have going on for you today. After looking into a homicide that had happened or occurred back in 2018. I found that there was no information on it, including no information on crimemapping.com of when the shooting occurred. Now, even a shooting that has a homicide or a suicide involved is still reported because of the public safety issue of that occurrence of a shooting, a gun shooting, not necessarily the actual suicide itself. Regardless of that, this particular case has nothing to do with any type of suicide or accidental shooting for that matter. This particular murder occurred on March 9th, 2018. At approximately 1 a.m. or so. It's difficult to know exactly what time because the reporting parties were not cooperative with law enforcement. Now, had they been cooperative with law enforcement, the young man, the 17-year-old David Burkhart, may have survived. But they were not cooperative. They did not give their address correctly. Officers had to search the area of Shady Hollow Court in order to find the location, and eventually came upon 1717 Shady Hollow Court in Merced, California, where this incident occurred. I originally spoke with the family in regards to the murder and came to find out that the person involved, his name is Andrew Masengale. He was at his father's house that day. I believe, I don't even want to guess his name. He was at his father's house that day, and David Burkhart was there, as well as a female was there. We come to find out that the scene seems to be staged. Things aren't adding up, and there seems to be more and more of a cover-up. And Merced police investigator Reynaldo Alvarez, well, he's going along with the whole thing. I'm trying to understand how an investigator can be given information and evidence leading to a different narrative than the one that's being sold by the people who actually committed the murder, and ignore it. How does he ignore it? Well, that's because the man's name is Andrew Masengale. And Andrew Masengale saved the district attorney and his son's asses when his son was arrested for 187 PC. Due to the Easter Massacre that occurred back in 2013, in which 3 beautiful young lives were taken. And I believe 5 others were, or maybe possibly 3 others, 2 or 3. There was a couple of people wounded. I'm trying to recall, it was some time ago. It's so difficult because Merced police, Merced sheriffs have the opportunity left and right to solve these issues. But because they see political power before them, they see people who have the ability to take their job, to take their pension, they back up. That's cowardism to me, but they back up. You're a coward because you care more about that damn money than you care about people in their lives. So you should not ever be in law enforcement. That whole county and city of Merced, and my apologies, it needs to get cleaned up. I'm serious. A lot of firings throughout law enforcement. The people need to realize that they are in power. They are empowered there. And if these people that they elect and that they hire to do city and county jobs that they pay for, the people of that county and that city pay for, and those people aren't getting the job done, then fire them. Get out. They've had decades. We're talking back since the 80s, people, and Merced still hasn't cleaned up. Why? Because it's the same old families, just like Mariposa County. It's the same old blood. They hire each other within the departments, and they all cover each other's asses. And there's been some sick crap going on up there. And murders. I say plural because it's murders. There's been several murders that have been covered up, and this is one of them. David Burkhart, a 17-year-old father of one. And his murder was never reported by the Merced PD. Now, I'm going to, or the local rag, the Merced Death Star, Sun Star, whatever it's called these days. They didn't even report on it. They never mentioned it. They never said anything. And Andrew Masengale, who was all over the news in that area for his involvement in the murder of I forget the young man's name. He was in Bernabed. He was involved in that murder, and yet he can go and murder another young man, and because he covered for the DA and the DA's son and got him off on the murder charge, he gets to walk free from murder himself. Wonder what other things he's been up to. Well, the robbery. He was actually on bail when this shooting occurred. So how the freak is this guy even allowed to continue to be out of jail? He should have been locked up just because a firearm was used in his house in his presence. Apparently he was allegedly on probation. So why wasn't he violated? Well, the mother in the story is going to talk about it. And I want you to hear it directly from her, because I think the pain and the agony comes across very well from her, much better than me. So first I want to show you the Merced police officer Bimley West, another coward. A man who claims himself to be a man of God, but yet he literally is a co-conspirator to murder cover-up. You'll hear my conversation with him now. This happened just shortly after the murder. I believe a few weeks or so after the murder. I was questioning, possibly a month or two, I don't recall. But I was questioning about what had happened and when the public would get information from the Merced Police Department, as the public deserves and has every right to know what their police department is doing in these investigations. And these are his excuses. Roll it.
The plan is to meet with her on Wednesday morning, and speaking with the lieutenant, he said that he's going to try to make sure that she is contacted today to get that set up to meet with the investigators, and that's on Wednesday morning. I don't have the exact time, but what she can do is have her to contact the lieutenant Don King.
Okay, yeah.
And if she call in and ask to speak to Lieutenant King, if you have her number, the investigators have the number supposedly, and that way she can call to speak to Lieutenant King. Lieutenant King also going to be in that meeting when she come, so that we definitely want to solve this case, and we want to solve it we don't want anything to be slipped through the cracks or anything on this particular case.
Understandable. So, is there any public information that'll be released? Because right now there's so many rumors and speculation going around, even that there was even a murder. I mean, people are actually calling this family, disgraceful for putting up a GoFundMe account, trying to, pay for their son's funeral back in March. So
yeah.
when the police department,
I heard, one of the things that I was told is that they're still investigating the case. There are some things that they are doing through the Department of Justice regarding this particular case.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I can't mention exactly what it is, but the lieutenant, he's supposed to be getting something out, and he's supposed to be posting that with regards to the death of the young man. And but we're not gonna. My understanding is that they're not gonna call it. They're not calling it a suicide, and they're not calling it a homicide at this time. It would be more of a suspicious until it can fall one way or the other, depending upon how the investigation unfolds.
Interesting.
They gotta get everything back from the coroner's office with regards to what their final determination is, and also find out what DOJ comes up with.
Gotcha. Now, because one of the biggest things is the parents is worried about is that the people that they feel that were involved in their son's death, especially with the bruising to his face and to his arm, like he was assaulted before he was shot. They're wondering whether the police department kind of set on the fact that it's just straight suicide, and why this gentleman or people that were at the house with a firearm, were they legal to have the firearm there? And if not, why hasn't anybody even been arrested in that respect? Even if somebody says they were playing a gun game, they're a known gang member, wouldn't they be arrested instead of being allowed to be on the streets? I mean, it doesn't make sense to the family right now. We're just trying to get them some answers.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, to make a premature, to arrest someone prematurely before all of the information is in, could result in the person being released by the court. Because the DA has 72 hours to, once the arrest is made, to actually file the case. But if the information all of the information is not in, like those areas that I've just mentioned, the coroner's office, with the final determination, the information that the investigators are seeking from the Department of Justice, that means that the report is not complete. And there's other things that the investigators are doing to once all of the information is in, it's got to be factual.
Right.
Then they can actually go and arrest someone, and it can be solid, a solid arrest without the court having to release them. And the thing is, that's the reason why in some cases, not all cases, but in some cases, we hope that this doesn't result in a case that is going to take very long to come to a conclusion. But some cases, because they are it's a very slow process of gaining all of the information. Some cases it takes a couple of years to actually solve, without an arrest being made. But if citizens have been following some of the cold case homicides that has been resolved by the investigative work of the detectives here, the people, they may get by, but they're not going to get away. But the way it works in court is you undoubtedly know. If all of the facts are not in, then there's reasonable doubt, and then the person can't be tried the second time, double jeopardy.
Gotcha.
So we want to make sure that whatever's happening is done right the first time, because we may only get one shot at this.
Right.
And if the jury find that person not guilty, then we may not.
It's a waste of time. Yeah. Waste of resources.
Yeah. Well, it's not so much a waste, but none of the detectives, the energy spent in these cases, want it to be for naught. We want to make sure that either the person is going to be, any person that's involved, either they're going to be exonerated or they're going to be found suspect in the case for prosecution.
So the family's asking another thing. Attorney General, they're wondering why the district attorney is involved in any of this when the links are closely associated to his son in that Andrew Masengale. They're like buddies. The family knows Ethan Morris. They've had him over. They said that him, Ethan, and their brother, their son, Mr. Burkhart, hung out all the time. They've known him since childhood. So they're just kind of wondering why the police department is even relying on this with the district attorney, period. Shouldn't this already have been a call placed to the attorney general's office? I know that when the district attorney punched me, it was immediately sent to the AG's office. So we're just kind of wondering why this is even being why it's even being seen by the DA, if it is, because he could actually, again, get involved in the case and try to talk with witnesses that could cause an issue.
Now, with your case, I think he was directly involved as a linked as suspect on the case, I think.
Right. Gotcha. Okay.
And then with this particular case right here, normally the deputies out of his office would be handling the case, but he could handle it if it goes to a prosecutable type. If there's a prosecution.
But doesn't the police department see the problem here? I mean, the sheriff's department did when the DA's son was linked to a homicide. He may also be linked to this homicide according to the family, and that's where they don't understand, because no one's telling them anything. They've said, the police department, according to the mother, has said that they do confirm that Andrew Masengale is one of those on the video, but they've also confirmed that there's the driver that they cannot identify yet, and they believe that driver to be Ethan because Ethan used to drive him around all the time. So what they're trying to, if there's some way that they can get somebody to look into this beyond what's going on now, because obviously, can't you see the conflicts, is basically what the family would ask.
I'll tell you what, I can tell you this for sure, is that if his son or sons or anyone connected with his family, if they've done anything that's wrong, they're going to get arrested, and that's when.
But sir, I got to stop you right there, because that's not true. You guys actually went to the Morris law firm. I can get you the date. I can actually get you the screenshot from the police department's dispatch log computer, which was sent to me by a great officer who knew it would get covered up and told me that the police department does not go after the DA or his children. He actually sent me that screenshot, and it shows that you guys went to the Morris law firm after a child's mother had complained that a game was being played with a loaded firearm. That firearm was placed to people's heads, and that one particular boy, who was a black gentleman, I don't remember exactly his last name, I can get all this information for you and send it though. He even confirmed that gun was placed to his head by Ryan Morris. But the police completely shut it all down. Everything gone. Everybody sent home, and no charges filed. Not even a gun was searched for in the home. We were listening to it on the scanner. I sent Diana down to the scene right away, my reporter. It was late in the night, I think midnight or 1 or 2. Sent her down to the scene, and they had already cleared everybody out, and everybody was gone. You figure they would look, search for a weapon, do some investigations. Nothing. And even the mother of the other child. So I can send you that information, including the screenshot, to prove it to you. So when you're telling me or you're telling others that, we will definitely do that, we will definitely prosecute, there is absolutely no credibility that will happen when it comes to the DA or his children, sir. So they need something more credible than that. I mean, they need you to commit that this case is going to not be dealt with this DA due to close ties to his son, who was already accused of a drive-by shooting and was actually gotten off the hook by the same guy who's now accused of killing David Burkhart. So you see, it's
that the investigators, they're not going to not go after this Morse kid if he's linked to this homicide. Now the investigators are looking. They're looking at everything on this particular case, and once it's been determined that the Morse kid is actual suspect or one of the suspects in this case, the interim chief, what he would do is he'd get in touch with the attorney general on this particular matter.
Okay, so that I can let the family know. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that's good. At least I can let them know that.
I tell you what, Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir.
I don't believe in that favoritism.
I know. There are some great law enforcement officers there at Merced PD. You're one of them.
These guys will get more than an earful from me if they operate that way. I will go.
I hope they would lose their jobs if they operate that way. But yeah, I understand.
Yeah, they'll end up losing their job over that kind of stuff.
Yes, because
if the citizens knew that police officers do that kind of stuff, man, I tell you what, that's not good. That's not good. And we got to be open and honest and transparent. We can't be, having double, triple standards.
Right, because it just makes the public look at you like you're covering something up and you're trying to hide something and trying to protect those that need to be held to justice, and then it becomes a disconnect with the PD that is happening now, and it's so disheartening to me because honestly, I know Merced PD has great officers. I talk to them. That's how I get most of my information. If you read my stories, there's details in there that only cops would know. And that's because they're crying out saying, man, stop this, please, please. And that's the only reason why I'm in this, okay? So I need you to help me too, to push these people to get this public information out. Whatever they're going to do with the investigation, whatever. But if you can please push these officers to please get this information out and to work directly with the mother. I will have her call you right now and give her you her phone number. So expect to receive a call in about next 5 or 10 minutes, or she'll leave a message with her phone number. Okay?
Yeah, that would be wonderful. And I tell you what, I'll go as far as if she come in and provide us the statements, I will even sit in that meeting and make sure that she's being treated fairly. I have no doubt that she would be. Right. But this is a very important case. We're talking about the loss of her child, of a loved one, of a life. Well,
and, I would be careful because I would be careful because according to her, she has been trying to reach Sergeant or Detective Russell every day. In fact, today, and I gave her the number yesterday. I thought I gave her your number, but I actually gave her somebody else's number to call you because I was on the road. So she was trying to call you yesterday, and I'm not able to because I gave her somebody else's number. So I will give her the correct number. She'll reach out to you right now, and you guys can get that all squared away, okay?
Sounds good, my brother.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
You calling me and at least talking to me about this, and so that I definitely want this meeting with Ms. Burkhart next week.
Great.
And like I say, even I will sit in even on the meeting as well.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate it so much. And then again, if you ever need anything, call me at this number. And God bless you, sir. Thank you. Bye-bye.
So there was Captain Bimley West, the retired coward Merced captain, PD captain. I've met with him several times. I know him personally. I even thought he would be a good police chief. I was wrong. I've made a lot of mistakes in my decisions, but we haven't had many choices, unfortunately. Merced, when the district attorney finally, the woman stood up, Kimberly Lewis, she was the only one with any cojones to run against District Attorney Larry Morse, the most corrupt district attorney in California that we know of. But she turned out to be a fluke. She has no care or concern for actually doing the people's justice. A lot of care and concern about fundraising for an election still a couple of years out. She's literally left this family and turned her back on them, even though during the campaign she promised to this mother, and she promised me directly, Kimberly, you promised me directly that you would look into this and you would follow up on this. And what did you do? You never contacted the mother. She went up to you. She'll talk about it in here. It disgusts me that you contacted me, Kimberly. You asked me to endorse you. You asked me to send out an endorsement to all of my followers, and I did. You said that you ran because of the information that I put out there, that I went and I got from public information records, and I put out there about this disgusting district attorney that was in Merced County. And you said that's what triggered you to run. And you have literally dropped the ball and stepped on it. So let's listen to this mother. I get a little passionate in here, but I'm very serious when I talk about if Merced City Police Department, if the city council wants to play games and wants me to sue them to get public information this time, like they've been telling me left and right every time I try to get public information, that's what will happen. I'm sick of it. I will follow any and all means of legal remedies to ensure that the people get the information that they are entitled to ensure that their taxpayer dollars are being paid for good, accurate, and honest investigations, and not murder cover-ups to hide for a political crony or for a political friend. Anyways, let's get into the mother's story now. Here we go. I want to now bring in the family because, of course, I could have some of these details off and a little mixed up, and I want to make sure that we get it right because their story is one that needs to be told, and we need to find out what happened here because there is a huge murder cover-up. And I know that personally because when I went to look into this murder, it was not even posted on crimemapping.com, which Merced Police Department does report to, but they did not report this shooting. They report every shooting, even if it's a shooting that involves a self-inflicted gunshot wound, it's still reported to crime mapping. But this shooting was not. Not only that, but this shooting was sent away from Merced PD's investigation team and supposedly to the Department of Justice. So before I get too far going, I want to bring in my special guests today. I want to bring in Eddie and Linda Burkhart, who are coming to us from Merced, California to discuss their son's story. Welcome to the show, Eddie and Linda. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
So I want to just basically turn it over to you, and I want to get your side of what you have found out over these past couple of years, almost 3 years now, about your son's death.
Okay. First of all, we have found nothing out because they don't like me going in there and asking them questions.
But before you say they, who do you mean they?
Detective Alvarez, the one that's on the case.
Merced PD?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And,
well, when you said earlier when you were saying how they were called out to the house and they were given the wrong address, that's correct. Okay, so, but the part when they get to the correct address, they say they're knocking. They're knocking. They're knocking. Nobody's coming to the door. Nobody comes to the door. Now, if one of my son's friends were shot in my house and I called the ambulance, I would be outside on the cul-de-sac, jumping up and down, over here, okay? But no, they knock, nobody answers. The Merced police have to call the dispatch 911 lady, have her call in the house to say, hey, the police are at your door, open it, okay? They open the door. A female answers. This is what I'm told by the original detective on the case, Russell. Okay, he says that the female answers the door. They ask her, because the call that came in was, there was a gun that was discharged. Never once did they say my son was shot, that I know of, because they won't give me the police report. He tells me that, tells the female, we need everybody in the house to come outside so we can go in and retrieve the gun that was accidentally discharged. So Masengale and his dad come outside with this female. Russell, and I don't remember the other officer, they go in the house. He said that when they went in the house to retrieve the gun, he said they did not know even then that my son was in there laying on the ground until he walked by down the hallway and saw my son laying on the ground. Never once did they even say that, even when they opened the door.
So there was no statement from the people who were in the house, Andrew Masengale, this other female, and the other person, I believe that's Masengale's dad.
Alvarez says there was no female, so he comes into the case now because Russell's not, for some odd reason, is not, he was the lead detective on the case. He's not on the case anymore.
Alvarez
was
supervisor.
Alvarez got brought in. Supervisor. And ever since he... it's...
No, I apologize. Go ahead.
It's just been nothing. It's been nothing but a cover-up.
So, okay, so we have this, as you said, they come into the house, and that is when they realize that your son, who is 17, right? 17 years old, and a new father.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So they come into the house, and no one's told them anything. When they got the original call, they only said an accidental shooting, but they didn't say a victim was down.
They said a gun accidentally discharged.
Yeah.
A gun that was accidentally discharged.
So obviously there was a cover-up right from the very beginning, because they would know their own address, and they would know if the gentleman had been shot, if your son had been shot.
All this time to delay, because how come the neighbor says he saw Morse.
Ethan?
Walking out. No, not Ethan, his dad. The father. The DA, the former DA. He was seen walking out of Masengale's house with guns. Now listen, also Russell told me at the beginning that he told me right from the beginning, he said that the room looked staged. That was his exact words. I have everything written down. He told me the room looked staged. I think that he was pretty much being up front, and then he was taken off the case. Okay, listen. He told me that the room looked staged. He said that there was a table there with several guns on the table, like they were playing some Russian roulette game. That is a lie. They set that up. That was all us. That's probably what they were doing when they wouldn't open the door, when they were knocking at the door. Okay?
So when you mentioned that, that's very interesting, because right out the get-go, when I started looking into this case back in 2017 or 2018 when it occurred, we started looking into this. There was that line that they were trying to sell me. They even told me was that it was a game that was played with the guns, and so I have that. Go ahead.
How can anybody like Andrew Masengale sit here and change the story 3 times? First of all, you say that you were playing Russian roulette. Nobody plays Russian roulette with a gun, to their stomach. Number 2, then you say on the streets, you're telling people that he had it in his pocket, and when he pulled it out, it accidentally went off. And then I go, because I'm on Alvarez. I'm on there. I'm there every 2-3 days. I go over, and then what does he say? He goes, oh, okay, now sit down. He goes, so this is what happened. Wait a minute, so this is what happened? They were both laying on the bed, sitting on the bed. I don't know, taking dabs or something. I don't know. Listen, he says David was getting off the bed and he accidentally shot himself. If you look at the autopsy report and you look at the angles, the degree, you would have to be a contortionist to turn your hand like this to get it to go up in the angle it was. There's no way it could happen.
I completely agree.
When he was taken to the emergency room, also, one of Eddie's family members has a friend that was in the emergency room. She said everybody in that emergency room looked at each other and they said that was not a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
I completely agree. I just don't get it. And now let's turn back just a moment here. You'd mentioned the DA, and so I just want people to understand. I know what's going on, but I want people who are listening to understand this. You'd mentioned the former DA, Larry Morse, and the reason you brought him up is because, how would he even be involved in this like that? Why would he even go to protect this young man by taking these weapons out of the house?
For one, his son was suing the Merced County Sheriff for wrongful
That's his
arrest,
best friend.
But not only that,
he owes the mayor. We got him out of a murder charge.
That was his key witness during the lawsuit. The no shots were fired, and Ethan could not have killed nobody. Larry Morse took him out of Merced, and they were in Fresno because that's where the lawsuit was happening, and had him over there.
And that's why everything was hush-hush and out of the news, because that would mess his
credibility. His credibility would have been shot, and he would have never won that case.
It would just been, not good for either one of them.
So let's back it up. Let's back it up a minute. So back in 2018, there was an election. The district attorney was running for re-election. His son had been indicted on homicide charges in 2014, I believe it was, and his dad had been able to put him up in Mariposa County Jail. I looked everywhere. Somebody told me that he had been arrested. I looked everywhere in the county jails in Merced, nowhere. But then apparently they were able to stash him up there, and I was able to find him there. But he put him up there, and then this court case happened. A judge at the preliminary hearing found that there was no evidence when there was plenty, including this Andrew Masengale, who was a friend of your son's at the time, and Ethan Morse, the son of District Attorney Larry Morse. And so this Andrew Masengale is the one and only witness that the judge listened to, even though there was, I believe, 3 to 4 other witnesses who were also in the vehicle that Ethan drove with the alleged shooter, Jacob Tellis. And the Andrew Masengale is the only one who said that it did not happen. They did not shoot.
The other ones that were in the car were some females. And isn't it weird that they were not allowed or called in at court? How they got their testimony was through the police or sheriff's report.
Right. The officers read their statements in court. Now, it was very interesting to me that the judge at a preliminary hearing would not indict with 3 or 4 other witnesses saying the opposite of the one witness. And so, I mean, because you can indict a freaking ham sandwich at a preliminary hearing if you got one witness saying you did it and you got 4 that said you don't. You did it. I mean, they can indict you and still put you on trial. It's then up to the prosecutor to present all the evidence. But they didn't even get to that point. They came up with some crazy ruling and allowed him to leave. Now, once that happened, Andrew Masengale is now linked to Larry Morse and Ethan Morse. Now, that's our link. So now, during this election year in 2018, before that though, I also want to mention that Andrew Masengale was involved in a robbery.
Got Ethan Morse off a murder charge.
Right. So Andrew Masengale got him off on the murder charge.
Big Daddy Larry owes Andrew a big favor and gets him off on the charge with my son. That's what it's about.
So that's where we're going though. But Andrew Masengale was on probation at the time of the shooting, or at least he was on bail. I know that for a fact from the robbery that had occurred months before, which he was charged with. So if he had been at a home where a shooting had occurred, that would violate his bail.
So I did contact probation and got told and found out this is what they told me. I recorded it. This is what they told me, that they did not have anybody by that name under adult probation or probation period, but then they found it that he was under. When has Larry Morse ever had anybody's probation supervised by him? Never. But Andrew Masengale's was.
I'm sorry, wait a minute.
He told me that. I have it. I recorded it.
You're telling me that, is there any way that I can get that?
He was being supervised by Larry Masengale. Right, Eddie? Yes.
That's just, I mean, it's unheard of. So, okay, so now we know the connection between why the DA would enter the home to take out these weapons which could tie Andrew Masengale, the man who saved his own son's butt from prison. So that's why he would do it.
Of course.
Okay, so now we're moving on. Now they find your son. They attempt some life-saving procedures. Do you know, or anything? Do we know when the ambulance got there? Do we know anything that they did to help your son?
This is what Andrew Masengale told another kid. He said that when the ambulance got there, he said the police would not even let them in there to help David for a minute. He goes, I don't know why. He goes, they would not even let them in there. Yeah, I know. I've already went through all this in my head.
So anyway, so that right there would also perk up any smart police officer or a very good investigator to say, wait a minute. You know, if you're looking to save somebody who accidentally shot themselves, you do everything you could to try to help them. Immediately. Right. Yeah. So that would draw red flags right there. And I hope everybody that's listening is also drawing some red flags here. Now,
and changing the story 3 times, probably after, Larry Masengale and everybody else started looking at it and goes like, hey, that story's not going to fly. You're going to have to say this. That's why they came up with the story that David got off the bed and accidentally shot himself.
So how long was your son there, do you know, before they were able to get him to a proper facility?
I went to Riggs Ambulance. I have all the papers on everything. I'd have to pull them out and look.
But was it some time, or did they at least properly notify you in a good amount of time? I mean, were you notified right away?
No.
It was at a little after 1 o'clock, close to 2, I believe, when 2 sheriff deputies came and knocked on the door.
In the morning?
Yeah, they asked me if I was David's father. I said yes, and they just bluntly said, well, he's dead.
Whoa. That was their statement to you? It was just that blunt?
That was the exact word. Well, he told me, he they knocked on the door and they said, you Eddie Burkhart? I go, yeah, David's father, yes. And they go, do you know where David's at? And I go, probably in your car. You're probably bringing him home because he got in trouble or something. He said, no, he's dead. And just stood there staring at me. Both of them.
That's just, I don't understand why people act that way. I don't get it. Anyways, so now that this is, we understand why this may have been covered up. Have you guys been able to get anywhere? Now, I wanted to, briefly, the coroner report.
I did see our new DA, Kimberly.
Yes.
Elms, okay, at the park when they had the yearly, when all the sheriffs are there, people that have lost a loved one.
Oh yeah, the victims memorial.
So I saw her, when she speaks, and then the pastor speaks,
Mm-hmm.
and then Vern Warnke speaks. So she, after she got done speaking, I was supposed to meet with her the very next day. Well, I just was going to go up to her just to, hi, and, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. After she got done talking and came off the podium, and she grabbed my hand, she pulled me to the side. She goes, come here, I want to tell you something. She goes, I'm not going to be able to be in the meeting with you tomorrow. She said, but I'm going to put I don't remember the exact words, but basically my right-hand man on it, and his name was, when he told me that he was on doing a murder charge.
I'm sorry, who was it?
It was,
do you remember it wasn't Serrato or Matthew Serrato or any of those guys?
Let me get my phone, I could tell you.
That's okay. Anyway, so.
It's her, she handpicked him and brought him down from Turlock or Modesto.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, from Modesto. Okay, good. Okay, so DA out there.
Right. So she brings him down. So, he's kind of rude to me and all that. And then when he tells me that he has a lot of other things that he has going on, that the only reason that he took the meeting with me was because he was asked to by Kimberly, and that was the only reason that he was in the meeting with me. And he also told me that he was currently in a murder charge with, guess who? Alvarez. The one that's covering everything up for my son. When he said that, I went like, are you kidding me? I was like, okay, we're done. Like, this meeting's over. Like, what am I doing? Yeah. I couldn't believe it.
Oh gosh. Well,
you not know that he has never, ever, I kept getting back with him. I saved all the emails, and his name's Brad something. Yeah, and he.
Well, I'm definitely going to reach out. In fact, Kimberly should be aware, because I personally, she sent me a message on Facebook when she was running. And nobody knows this, but she sent me a Facebook. I have all the Facebook messages from her. And she literally asked if I would endorse her by sending, invites to all of my followers, because I have a lot of followers and they do trust a lot of what I say. And she was running based on the fact that Larry had really screwed up prosecuting cases, not able to, turn over discovery and take care of business. And she promised that she was going to look into your case and work to find out what happened. Yeah. And so you're telling me she broke that promise? She
did. And not only that, listen, I've been wanting to go to her because not only that, you had me meet her at Tenaya. Yeah. Remember?
Yeah.
And that's the day after she, I thought I was going to talk that day, but anyways, they didn't let anybody really talk. You had to put a paper in, and they only picked like 2 people to talk. So, but after it was all said and done, I went up to her afterwards, introduced myself, and she held my hands, and she told me she had a son herself, and that she didn't even look really confident. She kind of looked like she was even doubting that she was going to win. I don't know why. But when I walked off from Tenaya that night, I thought, oh my God, but let's just pray. But she said if she was elected, if she won, that she would help get my son justice.
Okay. And she hasn't. So we're going to be all over her in this next election. I'm just disgusted.
And the guy that she put there in her place, she said she'd be sitting on the sidelines. So the guy that she put in her place, he was so rude. I saved all the emails for how rude he was to me, and how he said that he had other things that he was doing, and blah, blah, blah. And that's that.
Yeah, please forward me those too, because I want to talk with him directly
Okay.
to find out what his issues are and why he thinks he needs to be rude to the victims of criminal acts. So definitely want to talk.
As he's sitting on a murder trial with Alvarez, the one that's covering everything up.
So, when you say he's sitting on a murder trial with Alvarez, you mean that he is prosecuting a murder trial with Alvarez?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so for him to discredit Alvarez would discredit all the other murder cases he may be prosecuting with Alvarez. Because if he discredits Alvarez in your case, then that opens up all these other cases to, oh, these guys are corrupt and we need to look at the rest of the cases. And they don't want to do that. That might be also another reason why they are trying to turn their backs on you. Now, speaking of turning their backs on you, I can walk in, and I have done, and I've told the police department many times they can go fuck themselves. And I walked into that department, and they don't throw me out. I've posted many things on Facebook, many things. I've never been banned. You're telling me that you can't get information anymore because you've been banned?
I've been banned from any city building, and what his county building, his kids' school. I didn't even know he has kids. I don't know why they would add all that in. They handed that in, and yeah.
So they're afraid of you because you're
from the chief of police.
Yeah, and they're afraid of you because you did post on Facebook that what is it going to take you walking in there and having somebody shoot you for them to listen to your son's story, to take it seriously, right?
And in court, I asked him. I looked at him. I said, Alvarez, I go, do you feel threatened by me? I said, this is not even needed. We don't really even need this restraining order because that thought has never crossed my mind to harm him. And I looked at him, I said, do you feel like I'm threatened by me or anything? And he even shook his head no. He said no. But the judge said he was going to go ahead. Then the lady started talking, and she said, well, she is kind of upset that the investigation's not going as along as fast as it should for her. And he said, well, because of that reason that they were going to go ahead and put a restraining order on me.
So they decided to apply more pressure and more stress on your family rather than backing away and realizing that you were going through a very, very difficult time, especially with a department that is not even willing to take your son's death serious.
Correct. I have gotten paperwork from and all the papers I need from everybody from the ambulance to the hospital to everything except for the police department. The police department will not give me a police report. When I went, they said that he had a funny look on his face, and I said, what's wrong? And he said, wait a minute. And he types and he stops, and I said, is there something wrong? He said, well, it looks like this has been supplemented or something like that. I can't remember the word. And I said, well, what does that mean? And he said, well, that means that either on this date, and the date was 5 or 6 days after David's accident, he said that it was either something was added or taken out of the police report. And then he got off his desk and he went somewhere and he came back and he said that he wouldn't be able to give me a police report.
Okay, well, I'll put it out there right now. We're going to go after those police reports. We're going to go after every piece of information we can get, the 911 call. And if they deny me, we will sue. We will sue. I will put that out right now. I will not hesitate. I have not sued yet. I've backed up. I've said, I'm going to let them just get away with it. But on this case, I'm telling you right now, Merced PD, if you do not release the information, the public information on this case that must be released now, I will sue your ass. And you can take this to court if you want. I don't care. It is the people and this victim's family that needs answers now. And I'm sick of you guys playing games with victims. Sorry about that. My rant.
Thank you.
Linda, Eddie, where do we go from here, you guys? I am going to be on this. We are going to do a follow-up investigation. I'm going to ask some people to help me out here. We're going to get heavy on this one. Where do we go from here?
We need to get my son justice, whatever it takes.
Yes. We also are looking for anyone who may be willing to help us with some legal issues. We need to get this restraining order removed. We need to get this family respect from this police department, from the sheriff's department, this family is victims of a murder, and they are being denied. We need help from an attorney. So if there's an attorney out there who is willing to take this case on a contingency basis to help us to get this eventually into a civil lawsuit, please reach out to me at the ejfanetwork@gmail.com, or you can reach out directly to Linda Burkhart or Eddie Burkhart. They are both on Facebook and easy to reach out to. So please reach out to either one of them.
Please.
Anything else you guys would like to add to follow up with this story before we go off air?
Nothing to add, but I wanted to thank you, Matthew, for being such a stand-up person and being the voice for people like us.
Appreciate everything you guys.
Oh, bless you both, man. I just live off of your strength. You guys are really the ones that need to be commended, not me. I'm just a messenger. You guys, the strength that you have to stand up to this department and their corrupt ways. I'm with you. We're going to get justice. We will. I'm standing with you. I'm sure every one of our listeners will be behind you, and we need to make some calls and make this happen.
For sure.
Again, well, thank you so much, Linda. Thank you so much, Eddie, for being here and for talking with me about your son's case. And bless you both. I wish you both all the best.
Okay. Thank you, Matthew.
Well, there you have it. It's very difficult to listen to, but it's very important because it is truth and it is fact and it is happening. Sanctioned murder by Merced Police Department, by the district attorney. She knows about it. I've called her office yesterday and I left a lengthy message and I was very passionate. And I explained to her that she needs to reach out to this family ASAP, enough BS. And why would I call her and be passionate? Well, this woman, Kimberly, reached out to me on Facebook. But when the election was occurring, she asked me to endorse her. She asked me to endorse her and to send an endorsement to all of my friends and associates, acquaintances, and to help her, get funds, get somewhere in the election, because she was getting nowhere. Her Facebook page was very minimal. So immediately we kicked into high gear, and the next thing you know, her likes went through the roof, her Facebook page was all over the place, and all of a sudden the election started turning around. Did I contribute to it? You know what? Yes. I contributed big to her win, and she knows this. Now, there was also promises made by her that she was going to look into the Burkhart case. She is not. She's dropped the ball and literally squashed it. So, this woman needs to be held accountable at the election box, the ballot box. We need a serious, real, strong, determined district attorney in Merced County, Merced, to help them out. There's literally homicides through the roof. Violence is going crazy. And the police department is literally covering up murder. Take the Andrew Burkhart case. Prime example. So what other murders have they covered up? And you heard the reasoning for the cover-up. Andrew Masengale and his ability to look out for this district attorney's son and get him off of a murder charge. So Andrew Masengale has a free pass now to rape, murder, beat, do whatever he wants. In fact, oh my gosh, he has been arrested just after these incidents for assaulting his then girlfriend in front of their own baby. The father was adamant about it. He went all over. He's been trying to get the county to listen to him. They don't listen. Andrew can do whatever he wants. It was also interesting to hear that the district attorney was Andrew Masengale's probation officer. It doesn't work that way. But in Merced County, it does, because the FBI is scared of Merced County. The Department of Justice is scared of Merced County. They have offices there. They are based in that area. I know this for a fact because the sheriff told me. Sheriff Vern Warnke told me so much. In fact, Sheriff Vern Warnke used to give me court documents. I couldn't even believe it. I'm like, what? This guy would call me up and say, hey, I got something for you. And next thing you know, I get more court documents. I'm like, is this even legal? But hey, he's giving them to me, I'm taking them. You know, right out the back door, literally. The guy would call me up and have me show up at the back door of the sheriff's department, handing me documents. Turns out it was all for his own political gain. It wasn't for the people. It was for him. I was duped. One of the other things this sheriff used to tell me, Sheriff Vern Warnke out of Merced County, used to tell me that if District Attorney Larry Morse came to my door, you know, with a, you know, because he's a gun and he's armed, he'd tell me, you know, to shoot him, you know, kill him. You know, as soon as he comes there and as soon as, you know, the police show up or if we show up, you just tell him, I was in fear of my life, so I killed him. I was in fear of my life. I had to stop him. He was going to kill me. That's all you keep saying over and over and over again. Don't say anything else. I was in fear of my life. I was in fear of my life. A couple of years later, I watched a documentary about police departments who train their officers. And one of the things that they train them to do when they're involved in a shooting is to claim over and over again that they were in fear of their lives. Don't say anything other than you were in fear of your life. You were in fear of your life. You were fear you were going to die. It was just weird. And basically the sheriff there, Vern Warnke, was telling me, hey, go ahead and shoot the guy. Just say this. You know, the district attorney. He was telling me I could go ahead and kill the district attorney, Merced, if the guy came to my door. Weird county, weird city. They literally sanction murder, rapes. Same thing with Mariposa. And the funny thing is that Mariposa and Merced, they do the same. They work together. I mean, the district attorney, when his son, Larry Morse, when his son was arrested for the drive-by shooting deaths at the Easter Massacre in 2013 in Atwater, California, he didn't go to Merced County Jail. He put his son up in Mariposa County Jail, where he would have a prime, nice little cell and be all cozy and kept away from the media. Ha! But I found him. The other media, they knew. ABC, all of them knew where he was, but they did not report on it. I found him and I reported on it. That's the difference between that corporate media and regular people like you and I. They are trying to spin the narrative with the way they want it to be told, and we're just telling it the way it is, giving the truth, the facts. There's no corporate agenda, no money being made, no one's paying me any money, and no one can pay me any money. That's what makes this real. So anyways, that's going to do it for this edition of IPJ the podcast. I wanted to give you a update that we are going to be doing a show on Friday, tomorrow. We will be revealing some very important information in regards to the Ronnie Cole case, some new information that's come out, as well as an amazing interview by the Pizza Hut factory manager who was there for 8 years and was there the day that Ronnie went missing. And she's going to have some very, very damaging information that just rocks Debbie Jean and Brandy's statements to law enforcement and to us here and you on IPJ the podcast. You're going to want to tune in for this one. Tomorrow, it'll be up I'm going to try to get it up early, so around 6 o'clock. But you know how it takes some craziness time with YouTube and everything loading up. So it might be an hour or two after that, but I try to get it up as early as possible. But it will be up before everybody goes to bed by 8 o'clock. I promise you that one. All right, so tune in for that tomorrow on IPJ the podcast here on YouTube, on our website at aboveallaws.com, and also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and many other social media sites. Look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow with another great and fantastic show. Until then, please be safe and look out for each other always.